Hello everyone, welcome to our channel. In this video I will show you how to replace the rear brake shoes on 2005 to 2015 Toyota Tacoma pickup trucks. Number 1. Park the truck on a flat surface, place blocks in front and behind the front wheels. Lift the rear part of the truck using a floor jack and place jack stands under the axle or under the frame for safety. 2. Remove the lug nuts that hold the rear wheels using an impact tool and a 21mm socket and proceed to remove the rear wheels. 3. Remove the drum by lightly tapping it with a hammer to loosen it a little. Then, use 2 long bolts of the correct size in the threaded cavities, tighten the bolts alternating a couple of turns each until the brake drum is released and proceed to remove the brake drum. 4. Remove the lower spring that is attached to the self-adjusting lever using needle nose pliers by pulling it outwards as shown in the image so that it is released and proceed to disengage the spring with your hand on the other end. Note: pay attention to each of the components when removing them so that it is easier to install them back on their original location. These are 2 helpful tricks. As you remove each component, place them on the ground mimicking the position they have when they are attached to the backing plate, and second trick is to only do one side at a time to have the other side as a reference. 5. Remove the lever that synchronizes the brake shoes when activating the emergency brake by simply pulling it out with your hand. 6. Next, remove the side spring that connects to the adjuster lock by pulling it downward with a pair of pliers to release it as shown in the image and unhook the other end of the spring by hand. 7. Remove the adjuster lever by tilting it and pulling it out with your hand as shown in the image. 8. Unhook the upper spring that connects the brake shoes using vice grip pliers or brake spring pliers. Note, this is the spring with the most pressure. Use safety glasses when removing this spring and all the other brake components to avoid an item flying at you and striking your eyes. 9. Remove the spring that ties the lower end of the brake shoes by pulling it outward with needle nose or brake spring pliers as shown in the image. 10. Next, remove the spring that holds the brake shoe. To do so, hold the spring cover around the perimeter and press inward on it. Rotate the pin with needle nose pliers as shown in the image and slowly release the tension of the spring and proceed to remove the pin, the spring cover and the primary brake shoe. 11. Remove the spring holding the secondary brake shoe in the same way you removed the spring of the primary brake shoe and detach the brake shoe from the backing plate. 12. Next, disengage the emergency brake cable by compressing the spring that covers the neck with needle nose pliers and pulling it towards you as shown in the image. 13. Next, remove the horseshoe C-clips that fasten the emergency brake lever by prying them open with a flathead screwdriver. Once they open up enough to clear the inner part of the pin, remove them completely. 14. Next, unhook the spring that joins the adjuster to the brake shoe using needle nose or brake spring pliers by pulling it outwards as shown in the image. 15. Next, proceed to disassemble the brake shoe adjuster screw. Clean the components perfectly with brake cleaner, allow it to dry, lubricate the screw with high-temp brake grease or anti-seize and reassemble it again. Note: turn the adjuster screw all the way in. This way it is easier to install the brake shoes and the brake drum. 16. Place a drain pan under the backing plate and proceed to clean it perfectly with brake cleaner. Allow the brake cleaner to dry and proceed to apply a light coat of high-temp brake grease or anti-seize compound to the contact points where the brake shoes sit against the backing plate. 17. Attach the components of the emergency brake mechanism to the secondary brake shoe. Install new horseshoe C-clips with pliers and pinch the tips of the C-clips inward firmly as shown in the image. 18. Next, place the emergency brake cable in its original position using needle nose or locking pliers as shown in the image. 19. Next, install the spring that holds the brake shoe and its corresponding cover in their original position. Insert the pin through the back of the backing plate and through the center of the spring as shown in the image. Hold the spring cover with locking pliers around the perimeter and simultaneously pressing inward. Rotate the pliers until the pin is hooked to the cap in the correct way as shown in the image. Proceed to replace the brake shoes of the other side in the same way you replaced the first side. 20. Remove the small rubber cover from the lower section of the backing plate as shown in the image. This will give you access to the adjuster from the inner side of the truck. Clean the new brake drums with brake cleaner and install them on the truck. Next, proceed to adjust the brake shoes by turning the adjusting screw using a small pry bar or a flathead screwdriver and levering against the teeth of the adjuster gear as shown in the image. 21. Next, turn the brake drum gently with your hands in both directions. Adjust the brake shoes with the adjuster described above in such a way as to produce a slight rubbing sound between the brake shoes and the brake drum without getting stuck. 22. If necessary, and in case the brake shoes were adjusted too tight, insert 2 screwdrivers through the rear window of the backing plate. Use one screwdriver to push the adjuster lever away from the adjusting screw teeth, and the other screwdriver to turn the adjuster in the opposite direction shown in the image. Note: the front view of the image is to serve as an illustration of the internal operation of the adjuster. This process is carried out through the rear part described above. Once the brake shoes have been adjusted correctly, install the rear wheels and tighten the lug nuts slightly. Lower the truck to the ground and proceed to tighten the wheel lug nuts to the torque specs described in your owner's manual. Set and release the parking brake a couple of times. Take your truck for a test drive to make sure everything works correctly and there are no noises coming from the rear wheels. Congratulate yourself for performing a successful repair and for saving money at the same time. Have a wonderful day.